A warm welcome to all my dear friends from Heritage Valley Assembly and others from elsewhere, near and far. Thank you for joining with me in this week's The Pastor's Huddle for Wednesday, June the 10th, 2020. Those of you who have connected with me for our weekly The Pastor's Huddle over the last 12 weeks know that I enjoy launching my thoughts with an anecdote, example, illustration, or metaphor from the world of football, and so this week will be no different from others. It's a well-known fact that competitive football teams establish a game plan prior to every contest. It's also a widely appreciated understanding that as football clubs take to the field and carry out their game plan, they also require making adjustments and refinements to their plan as the reality of action unfolds on the playing field. Often we refer to things like this as the halftime adjustments. In other words, if a team is going to succeed on the gridiron, they must have a good game plan going into the contest, but must also have the ability to adapt their plan to the realities of actual play. Likewise, it was our pleasure as church leadership to share last Wednesday during the Pastor's Huddle our game plan for reconvening as a church on site at Taylor Seminary for Sunday, June the 7th, 2020. And thankfully, I'm glad to report that our game plan went extremely well on Sunday, June the 7th, 2020. Yet, like a football team, having put its plan to the test of the dynamics of actual play and requiring to make slight adjustments, we too would like to communicate in this week's Pastor's Huddle a few small adjustments to our original plan due to the changes that have occurred since our meeting together on Sunday, June the 7th. The first significant change we need to address is the announcement made by the Government of Alberta and the Chief Medical Officer of Alberta on Tuesday, June the 9th. That was yesterday, June the 9th, 2020. They indicated that Alberta will be moving into phase 2 of reopening on Friday, June the 12th. That's this coming Friday, June the 12th, 2020. The one major change that comes with phase 2 that was just announced for places of worship, that includes our church, is that the government and medical authorities have lifted the cap on attendance for worship gatherings. Let me say it again. The one major change that comes with phase 2 for places of worship is that the government and medical authorities have lifted the cap on attendance for worship gatherings. However, and please underscore this, in connection with that new understanding, though the cap has been adjusted on attendance, all the other government, medical, and legal requirements for places of worship previously prescribed have not changed. Have not changed. For instance, social distancing must still apply, along with the other guidelines established to minimize the risk of disease transmission. Therefore, in order for us to effectively and efficiently address the new reality of no cap on attendance, we need to remind ourselves as a church that Taylor Seminary's sanctuary capacity to seat folks is not unlimited, In order for us to accommodate those wishing to attend, we can only do so safely as we continue to follow the government, medical, legal guidelines that had already been established in phase 1. They are not changing. Those move into phase 2 as well. Therefore, the second piece of information we need to share today as we prepare and adjust some aspects of our original plan to this coming Sunday, Sunday, June the 14th, is to remind ourselves to continue to carry out the following steps for this coming Sunday morning. If you are planning to come to Heritage Valley Assembly for Sunday, June the 14th, we need you to take the first step of self-assessment. This means that on Saturday or Sunday morning, you need to ask yourself the following questions. Have any of the symptoms that are mentioned in the self-assessment tool, which are, do you have a fever, cough, sore throat, runny nose, or shortness of breath? If you have any of those, we encourage you and ask that you not come to church. You need to also ask yourself, as part of the self-assessment, have you been in close contact of a person who tested positive for COVID-19 within the last 14 days? If you have, we kindly ask you to not come. As well, have you been in contact with an individual who has traveled out of Canada within the last 14 days? If you have, please kindly refrain from coming to church. That's step number one. If you're wondering more about that self-assessment tool, you can go to the Alberta Health website and Google self-assessment test or tool, and it will help you to understand the questions that you need to answer before you decide to come or not to come to church on Sunday morning. Second step is, if you are able to come and have passed successfully and positively the self-assessment questions, as you come and you enter the parking lot, please, upon parking your car, ensure you maintain physical distancing of 2 meters or 6 feet or a hockey stick length from others. As you move toward the front door of Taylor Seminary, if there is a lineup waiting to enter, please continue to maintain this distance as you wait. Step number 3, outside door check-in. As you approach the outside front doors, one of our friendly church volunteers will greet you, as they did last Sunday. They will be masked with protective gloves and will ensure you are not ill. They will also sanitize your hands. They will also pace your entry into the building to guarantee physical distancing. You'll be given an opportunity to put on a mask and gloves if you choose. We have purchased masks, and you can wear one as you desire. It is not mandatory under Alberta medical requirements. However, you do need to note that Dr. Henshaw did state yesterday, and has stated on numerous occasions previous, that with the cap now being lifted, and yes, the need to continue to social distance, she did state that there will be times where it will be difficult to do so. And so she recommends that a further precaution to protect your health and others is to wear masks. Again, it's not mandatory, but it is a strong recommendation from Dr. Henshaw. We do have masks available for you if you wish to have one. Step number 4, inside front door check-in. As you enter through the inside front doors, you will be met by another wonderful volunteer greeting you. They'll also be masked with protective gloves, and they will ensure that you've physically distanced yourself as you make your way down the marked hallway to Stencil Hall to the sanctuary. Step number 5, the check-in table. As you draw closer to the sanctuary doors, another volunteer will record your name and note your name for attendance purposes. Please be assured, as I mentioned last week, this information will be kept confidential. We own this information. We will never be asked for the attendance records by medical authorities except in the event someone in our congregation develops COVID-19. The information would be shared at that time for tracing purposes only to alert others of exposure to the disease. We do not want anyone getting ill on our watch. And so that's the only time we will share that information. Step number 6, sanctuary service. As you enter the sanctuary, you'll be greeted by an usher or an individual who will be there to assist you, masked, gloved, and again, they will be encouraging you to sanitize your hands as you enter into the sanctuary. There will be hand sanitizers, incidentally, throughout the entire facility, and you can make use of them at any time. You may choose where to sit, or if you're unsure, please ask for assistance from one of the ushers who will be happy to assist you. However, you must only sit with your family members or your cohort group that you've connected to during this pandemic. You will need to physically distance yourself by 2 meters or 6 feet from each other. These requirements apply to people beside you, behind you, or in front of you. A suggestion is to keep 2 seats horizontally and 2 rows vertically between you and the next family group. Again, the ushers will be of assistance if you're unsure of where to sit. During our worship time, an offering plate will not be passed around, but a container will be positioned in the back of the sanctuary for your tithes and offerings to be deposited. However, you can continue to give online by visiting our church website, www.heritagevalley.assembly.com, if that is more convenient, and you can track through the giving icon on our site that will guide you through and navigate you through to how to do so if you've never used it. Also, there will be no congregational singing at this time, though for some of you who may have attended last Sunday, you know that we did incorporate a music element into our service to which we quietly worshiped too. I might just say that the response was very positive. Everyone I talked to said they were a little bit iffy about whether, congregational singing is something that they were going to miss or value, or how they were going to see that. And everyone I talked to said they were delighted. They enjoyed the music. They lifted their hands. They clapped, but they didn't sing. And many said, it just gave me an opportunity to really think on the words. And the worship time was very rich and wonderful. And so though we can't sing congregationally, it still is going to be a wonderful and continually blessed time as a music element is added and continues to be shared. We also want you to note that our sanctuary service will continue to include intercessory prayer, time of preaching of the word, and we will encourage you to greet one another, but in a proper manner with social distancing. No shaking of hands, no hugging. That time will come eventually. But, a wonderful friendly wave, thumbs up, or my heart goes out to you, however you wish, we will encourage us to continue to fellowship in an appropriate manner. As well, it's to be noted that our service will be online, live, for those that cannot attend, or at this point in time just for health purposes, or just feeling a little bit unsure about whether they want to or not. We will continue to serve you as a congregation and others with online live presentation of our service through our church Facebook page that goes up at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. The Sunday service will also be recorded, edited, and placed online to our church website, which I've also given you, on our YouTube channel, Heritage Plus, and you can note the links to get to that. That recorded, refined version of the service will go up likely Monday nights, as it did this past week, at the very latest Tuesday. So if you wish to watch something because you're on shift work and cannot see the live broadcast, or want to catch it in another time that's convenient for you, then that recorded version. So there are 2 options for you that we are providing to serve you if you can't be on site. Step number 7. Following the worship service, upon concluding our worship service, our ushers will once again assist you to physically distance as we exit the sanctuary. And we're asking that you either go out through the back northeast exit that has a sidewalk and takes you around the campus toward the parking area. You can, and we've been given permission to go out through the front door in which we came, but there cannot be traffic going two ways. It can only be traffic going one way out with no one coming in. So if there is someone desiring to come in, then let them come in, or they will wait for you to go out. But there must not be traffic at the same time going out that front door. We're also asking that if you're going to go out that front door, that you punch the automatic door opener with your knuckles or your elbow or whatever. That way you don't actually even have to touch the door handles in order to get out. We thank you so much for that. And then as you make your way to the parking lot, please continue to exercise social distancing. I want to also add that Taylor Seminary and their staff that we're working with are preparing, sanitizing, cleansing, and making sure that our arrival on Sunday mornings is going to be immaculate and clean, and it's going to be presentable for a public setting. So we thank Taylor Seminary for their work with us as they prepare for us to come. That facility will be in great order. However, while the sanctuary service is going on, we know that there will have been people coming in before the service. There will be some high-touch areas that may have had some traffic, and so we have assigned an individual that while the service is going on, we're going around sanitizing and cleansing the high-touch areas that may have possibly being affected as people were coming in. So while we're worshiping in the Lord, there's someone else outside the facility cleansing it so that when we leave, the high-touch areas are clean. We are trying to cover all the bases. Again, remind you that our washrooms are all available and those areas are being kept clean as well. All in all, what we're trying to do here is to make the church experience in the new normal. This is the new normal for us. We want it to be a safe experience. As a pastor, one of the definitions of being a shepherd from Scripture is that we are to lead, feed, and that we are to protect. These are aspects, the job description from Scripture, as to what we as shepherds are to be involved. And so part of my role as your shepherd is to ensure that during this unusual time, that we are protecting you physically, not just spiritually and emotionally in other ways, but that we are doing everything we can to minimize the risk of COVID. It's a spiritual duty that I have, and I take it seriously. And on my watch, I want people healthy. Ultimately, God is in control, and He's going to watch over us, but we also need to use all the wisdom God's given us and to ensure that we are following the guidelines that have given for us. We do these things, we'll be safe, God will continue to bless our efforts, and we will be able to continue to remain open in the foreseeable future, and we thank God for that. Let me just say this finally, that, and I said it last week, let me say it again. This phase will be different than what we've known, but God has not changed. And His love and care will consistently go with us every time we're there. And as we move into this new and exciting stage, yes, it is challenging, and yes, there will be some inconveniences, but God is still in control, and it's exciting. These are new challenges that await us. We can grow. We can do this. We can get this done, and God will be with us. With God, we are victors. We're not victims. With God, our church is and will continue to move forward and not fall behind. And with God, His kingdom shall be built, not diminished. And we will be able to continue to see our assembly moving forward in health and being able to be an incredible positive influence in our community in every way we possibly can be. So thank God we're back together again. Thank God we also have online services that continue. And let's just note these things. And as we continue to adapt to these new, they'll just start to become second nature to us, and we'll be able to move forward with great success. I love you guys. You're the best. And I was so proud of how those of you who attended last Sunday just worked together. It was amazing to see us working together as a great team, looking after one another and doing everything we can to make church a very positive experience. Love you. You're the best. Let's keep on going. We're going to win. We're a winning team. And God bless you. Until I see you on Sunday and or the next Pastor's Huddle, God bless you.